Well, if you haven't heard about it yet, there is a strong campaign to install lights at Port Macquarie's skateboard park, that fantastic area down there at Town Beach. But what a surprise, council are resisting. They just don't want the lights. Now, this is a test case. Make no mistake about it. These lights represent so much more than just light for skaters. These lights represent our attitude towards young people in the Hastings. These lights are symbolic of our collective respect for youth in our region. Now, you'll hear in a moment how council fears everything from noise pollution to antisocial behaviour, all possible repercussions, they say, of light at the skateboard park. And you'll also hear me ask what they base these fears on. And you'll hear their response. Absolutely nothing. No studies, no data, no statistics, no surveys, and of course, no lights. All because of the outrageously narrow-minded opinions of council bureaucrats. I have a young person in the studio tonight. Michael Wilkie is with me. G'day, Michael.
Hi, Tim. Thanks for having me.
Thanks for being on the show. So teenagers kept in the dark, Michael. No light for you. How does it make you feel?
Look, Tim, it really saddens me that this is the approach that council's taking. It's not only a safety issue for the teens to have proper lighting because of the tricks they're doing there, but also this is one of Port Macquarie's newest and best attractions, and it's, ranked like one of the best skate parks on New South Wales.
It's amazing, isn't it?
It really is. The design that went into it, the time and effort that was put building into it to not have lights, it's just a travesty to the local Port Macquarie people and users and people who travel to see it and use it.
It is a travesty, I agree with that, because this is no bodgy wooden ramp that they put in a lot of council areas. This is state of the art. I was blown away. It looks so durable, and I know the young people absolutely love it. So it is, like you say, I like that word, a travesty. Let's take a listen to Council Representative Christine Bannister now, justifying why our young people are not likely to get lights anytime soon. This was Christine on the show previously. G'day, Christine.
Hi, Tim. How are you doing?
I'm really well, thanks. Now, Christine, I've had sat here and I've listened to Dave tonight, and I see absolutely no reason at all why there shouldn't be lights down there at the skateboard park. Mm-hmm. As Council's crime prevention officer, why are you so resistant to having lights down there and lighting up the park?
Yep. It's not so much about being resistant, Tim, to lights at the park. There's a whole lot of needs that need to be balanced around when you consider not just lights but also the expenditure around what else we're going to be expending money down in that area to do in the coming future.
Are we talking noise pollution here?
Noise pollution, but also attracting people. When you set up lights in a certain space, you're actually saying to people, we want you to come and use this space.
Let's be a bit fair dinkum here, though, Christine. It's not a residential area down there. Who would be affected by noise?
Oh, most definitely there are people who are affected by noise in that area. There's the adjacent Sundowner Caravan Park, which has which backs straight onto that. There's also noise does carry up against that hill as well, not only just from the skate park, but the whole of Town Beach. As the crime prevention officer, I've received quite a number of calls from local residents around cars, even around noise that actually happens in that area.
Have you ever had calls about the skateboard park noise?
Certainly not about the skate park noise, and I think part of what we've done is actually designed a very effective skateboard park, so actually looking at reducing the noise as a result of skating.
Can I just drive right down into the heart of this, Christine? You're a crime prevention officer.
That's right.
You're seen as successful in your job when the crime stats improve. And let's be real, it's much easier for you and for council if teenagers are neatly tucked up in bed by 8:30 p.m, isn't it?
No, that's not necessarily so. I don't attribute crime to teenagers. I certainly look at antisocial behaviour, and I certainly wouldn't be attributing that to teenagers, nor would I be attributing that to young skaters. I've been a very strong advocate of the skate community, and as the skate community would vouch for.
First of all, is it a fait accompli? Are lights ruled out for that area?
Absolutely not. Absolutely not.
So this is still on the table?
It's not on the table, and it's not. I mean, certainly we've heard. I've heard there is a Facebook page around the lights, and it's worthwhile considering. But it's also worthwhile. I mean, we can't say that lighting something reduces antisocial behaviour. Certainly, we're looking at the Sunshine Coast, where they've actually removed lights from their skate park. And I'll just reiterate that we're not saying no, but we're not saying yes at the moment to lighting either.
However, even though we're not saying no, I'm certainly hearing resistance from you, and you said at the beginning there wasn't resistance, but everything you've said so far points to lights are a bad thing.
Tim, I guess I'm hearing from you a very biased opinion that it should be lit.
Absolutely, and I'm quite happy, Christine, to say, yeah, I have a biased opinion. There should be lights down there. Young people deserve a safe place to go at night. The problem is, Christine, that there never seems to be an alternative. Council don't want teenagers, for example, congregating in that area outside the glass house. I mean, you actively try to shoo them away from there. You won't look at these lights. I mean, isn't it a great idea?
I find that, you know,
I'll give you a chance to respond in a second.
Yeah.
Isn't it a great idea to give teens a well-lit, safe, designated place somewhere in Port Macquarie, if not the skateboard park, somewhere where they can gather at night? Don't we need a safe place here in Port Macquarie?
Of a night?
Absolutely.
But not necessarily at the skate park, and I don't think the skate park meets all of those needs. I think that you're saying that we don't have, you know, the council are wanting to tuck people into bed. I don't think not putting lights in means that council wants to tuck people into bed.
Where's the alternative then?
Yeah, I think you're polarising the issue a little bit, Tim.
Well, where's the alternative?
I don't know. I'm not sure about what sort of age group of people you're talking about.
Teenagers.
So, and I don't see the skate park as being the social nighttime hangout area for young people that we should be saying, right, this is where we want to attract young people to.
If I was the parent of a teenager, and I'm not, but if I was, I would like to know that in Port Macquarie, somewhere, there was a well-lit, designated area where teens could sit, you know, have their takeaway, chat, and it was safe. At the moment, they're out there in dark places, and surely that is what contributes to antisocial behaviour, not lights.
Yeah. I think we're going to have to agree to disagree on that matter. I think that I don't see the skate park as being that venue for that sort of activity at this stage. So.
Okay. Is there an opportunity? Is this a missed opportunity in another way too, Christine? If you install lights down there at the skate park, for example, you'd be sending a message that Port Macquarie promotes the safety of our teens. And I mean, furthermore, I'm thinking more specifically about church and youth groups that could get down there and seize that opportunity and very unobtrusively, hopefully, but offer some pastoral care to our youth and maybe a hot drink and a chat for any youth who want to have it. I mean, we're living in times where youth suicide is such a problem, such an epidemic. I mean, aren't you missing a fantastic opportunity here to promote physical and mental well-being for our youth?
If we sold the skate park as the be-all and ends-all for young people and it would meet all young people's needs, we might be looking at that. I don't see that it is that. I think it's part of a range of facilities that we set in place for young people. I think it's a fantastic facility.
Sure is.
But I don't think that it's the end.
What do you base the... you say that putting lights in there may lead to antisocial behaviour. What are you basing that on? Because when I had Dave in here before, he was talking about places like Nerang and Sydney, where that certainly isn't the case. In fact, there's been quite positive results. So are you basing this on any statistics, any studies, any facts at all, or just an opinion?
Not particular studies, but certainly looking at other issues that have been actually implemented around. You know, when we look at lighting, lighting implies that it's a safe place to come and that we actually want people to be there after dark. And it's certainly not where we want people to be after dark. We certainly wouldn't want them to be gathering around. We know anecdotally through crime prevention and crime prevention studies that lighting can be used both ways to actually attract and to detract people from coming to a space.
Aren't council just public servants? Aren't you meant to do what the community wants you to do? I mean, why are we down on our hands and knees asking council for lights when, from what I can hear, clearly the community wants these lights?
There are groups in the community who would like to have these lights. There are other priorities that have been identified. We've just spent, you know, in excess of $700,000 on the skate park. It is not the only priority for that area. Yep.
But it will be interesting, won't it, to find out, if we can find out, where the community sits on this. I would hazard a guess that the community will be overwhelmingly in favour of lights going in at the skateboard park. And if they are, I really hope that council listens and does what the community wants it to do and expects them to do. Look, Christine, you and I always disagree, but it's nonetheless you always front up, and that's more than I can say for a lot of other people at council. I really do appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Not a problem. Okay, thanks, Tim.
Thanks, Christine. Have a good night.
You too.
That's Christine Bannister there from Hastings Council, the Crime Prevention Officer. So there you go, Michael. Lots of excuses from Christine Bannister on behalf of council. Noise pollution, it'll cost too much, antisocial behaviour. And I like this one. Lights will attract teenagers and send a message that the skateboard park and the breakwall are places to congregate at night. How dare people congregate down there at night? Now, you've got to wonder what's wrong with that, seriously. Are they just hollow excuses?
Yeah, absolutely, Tim. Like, I think one of the excuses there was lights will attract antisocial behaviour, but in fact, aren't most towns installing more lights for safety? I think this is one of the first things we learnt in legal studies in situational crime prevention, that installing lights will lower the crime rate. And if her job is to specifically lower the crime rates around Port Macquarie and to make sure things are running smoothly, that was one of the first things she should install. Not only is that the problem, but also safety. I don't think there's any reflectors or anything down there along the walkways that will let people know exactly where the path is. And like on a dark night when there's overcast, there's no stars out, there's no ambient lighting around, it becomes a real safety issue because people could easily fall over on the ramps, fall into the pit there. I just think that more needs to be done there to light the area.
On the subject of money too, that we can't afford it, I've heard a rumour, true or not, I'm not sure, that a business person in town has offered to install the lights free of charge. So that argument from council may be a bit of a red herring. I'm telling you what, Michael, this is all, it's basically a sham to make council's life easier. It's called the tuck 'em up in bed mentality. That's what they want to happen here. So let's hear from Dave Tyson, who he was one of the skate park's driving forces, and he was on the show previously. This is what he had to say. G'day, Dave.
G'day, how are you today?
I'm really good, mate. Now, congratulations, by the way. The skateboard park, as I say, is amazing. You must be really proud.
Yes, I am, thank you. We finally got there.
Now, you're rightly asking for lights down there at the skateboard park. Tell us how they'd help.
Well, for starters, the lights are down there, not just for the skate community themselves, but the whole community in general. If it's lit up, as you were saying before, council's saying that it's going to prevent cause crime. I think it's going to prevent it because light to me is safety, the darkness isn't. So straight away, if there's lights down there, then if there's anything going to be happening, everyone's going to see it, the whole community, so it's going to actually be stopped. And then just not for the skaters, but the whole break wall itself.
This is a no-brainer, Dave. I mean, this park is such a success story. I see kids interacting in the most healthy of ways down there. Out at night, teenagers, they want to hang out. I mean, that's the bottom line. So why on earth do you think council are resisting your calls for lights?
Yeah, just I'm not exactly sure, really. Like how you're saying, just same as me. You just no-brainer. Like you just think of it straight away. And the youth, okay, us teenagers don't have many things in Port Macquarie or the North Coast. Like the younger kids have got a lot more facilities, but we don't. And if the longer you can keep them active and off the streets, then less chance they're going to have criminal behaviour and stuff like that.
It's been a success story already, hasn't it?
It has, sure has. Before the park was even built, when we were still in the committee stages, we talked about lights back then, but pretty much straight away they shut us down by saying that from other councils and places that had feedback that it was a bad thing. But I already know a lot of other parks, like ones in Queensland, Nerang, that have lights. Melbourne, there's Riverslide, and Waterloo in Sydney, and they all have lights there. And I don't know the exact facts and figures, but I'm sure if we looked into them, that I think that it would have actually decreased the crime around there, not increased it.
So there's Dave Tyson there making a lot of sense, citing other skateboard parks around Australia where lights have been installed, no discernible problems. He makes a lot of sense, doesn't he, Michael? I mean, lights by their very nature equals safety, as you were saying before.
Absolutely. I totally agree with everything that he said. Lights, more needs to be done in terms of safety around it. Reflective paint, used in Gold Coast councils. The walkways have like reflective paint that when people have a light on the front of their bike, it reflects back so they know exactly where they are on the path.
Yep.
There's so much more that can be done by council to make sure that the safety for the patrons of the skate park is ensured. And I just don't understand why it's not being taken as a full priority.
That's it, and I don't care if it sounds like a conspiracy theory. The reason the break wall is not lit up, the reason the skateboard park is not lit up, is because council don't want people using it at night. Why? I don't know. That's a very suspect, and I'd like to hear the callers on this. Give us a call tonight, 6585 3456. And we've got a quick grab from Luke Hadfield. He stood for council recently. He didn't succeed, but he is still passionate about youth issues. Here's what he had to say earlier. G'day, Luke. Welcome to the show.
Thanks, Tim, for having me.
Last week we spoke to Christine Bannister. She's the Crime Prevention Officer at Council. She was saying that lights probably weren't a good idea for down in that particular area. Now, the skaters have reacted with fury over the past few days over those comments. They insist that lights would be a fantastic opportunity for the young people of Port Macquarie. As a 19-year-old, where do you stand on this?
Look, it's pretty clear on the issue. If we want to provide good and proper facilities for our youth, then the lights have to go in. We can't fight antisocial behaviour by keeping the youth in the dark, so to speak. The youth make up just under 15% of this community. Now, our council...
15%, you reckon?
Well, it's about 14, and mind you, that's the whole community.
Yep.
But a large amount of our youth reside in Port Macquarie. Now, it should be our council's goal to section off certain funds to go towards projects like this if they really want to present this image that we're a family-friendly town, that we engage with everyone. Well, they have to actually sort of, the proof's got to be in the pudding.
Got to step up to the plate, right?
That's right, and I don't feel they're doing that at this time.
One of our callers had a fantastic idea last week after Christine was on, and I'm happy to admit we were completely polarised. Christine on one end of the spectrum, me on the other. A caller rang up and said there should be a compromise here. Perhaps there should be lights down there, but limited to Friday and Saturday nights and school holidays. The rest of the time, not on. That sounded reasonable to me.
Yeah, well, that does sound reasonable because most kids on a weeknight should be home early and getting to bed early anyway. I mean, that really makes sense.
Let's cut to the chase. Do you think that there is intolerance towards young people in Port Macquarie from certain sections of the community? And is that filtered through the policies and the decisions made by council?
Most definitely. I think there is. I think there's a lot of ignorance around. I mean, even as a young person running for council, I came across it. Simply, a lot of people had the stigma that because I'm 19, that I don't have any qualifications, any life skills, anything that could qualify me to run for council.
Did people tell you that, did they?
They did.
Yeah.
People who didn't even know me and didn't even take the opportunity to get to know me. I mean, I had a man writing to me in the paper week after week in subtle abuse. And when it came to the point where I confronted him and said, I'm here, let's talk, he had nothing to say.
Nothing to say.
Nothing to say at all. And so it just goes to show that the youth are the way we are. We're quiet, we're reserved, because we don't want to get out there and jump in a community that's going to jump on us.
I have to ask this, is it sour grapes? You're talking up on behalf of the young people here. You're talking up for the lights down there at the skateboard park. I think that's fantastic. Some people will say, well, Luke, he didn't get onto council. Now he's putting the boot into the very institution that he didn't become formally part of. Yeah. Is it sour grapes?
No, look, it's not sour grapes. I went in there to make a difference, to make a change and to represent a portion of this community. And now that we have an elected council, one that doesn't have representatives from all part of the community, I think it's very important that people like me stay at it to keep the council accountable and to make sure that they're doing what they said they would do and to make sure that all these people who stood up and said we're going to get our house into order, meaning the council chambers, well, that has to be done, because if it's not, then what did we elect them for?
And to me, on a personal note, I think it says a lot about you, the fact that you didn't get onto council, yet here you are sitting opposite me. You've travelled a long way to be here today, and you're still talking up for community issues. Yeah. So that tells me a little bit about your motivation, why you must have stood for council.
You can't stop community spirit, that's for sure.
That's good. Well, Luke, thanks for your time tonight. I appreciate it.
That's okay.
And that was Luke Hadfield earlier. I've spoken to Councillor Adam Roberts in the week as well. Now, he was very agreeable to coming on the show, which was fantastic, but we both agreed that we should wait because he has made a commitment to look into this issue and see what has to be done, what can be done. And I hope basically that he ensures that common sense prevails. He's a man working from the inside is the way I feel about it. Michael, just finally, we live in this age of social media. You young people can change the world with a few clicks of your keyboard. What can young people do in Port Macquarie and the Hastings if they want these lights down there at the skate park?
I think many voices work better when they're together. So I think by joining the Facebook page, Port Macquarie Petition for skate park lights, If people join that, I think more likes, the more chance that council has, council will listen to us. So get on there, like it, put your feedback on the wall. I'm pretty sure everybody will have some really great posts and feedback, and by listening to each other, I'm sure that we can come to a resolution where it's beneficial for everyone.
It's really important to add that there are plenty of adults out there in Port Macquarie who've also joined that Facebook page to support the petition for lights down there, and it's really good that adults get on the side of young people and support them. Michael, you've been fantastic tonight. Thank you very much.
No problem. Thanks for having me.
Thank you. You're listening to Time to Talk. I'd love to hear from you. 6585 3456.
It's time to talk.
6585 3456 is the telephone number, and we would love to hear from you. We've got someone on the line now. G'day, mate.
How you going, Tim?
I'm really well. You were listening in. What did you make of our conversation about lights at the skateboard park?
Well, I'm no prude. I'm 66 years of age. I've got my eldest daughter's 43, and I don't think that lights should be installed in skate parks, because at that time of night, at darkness, the kids should be at home. Now, who's going to pay for the installation of the lights, and who's going to pay for the electricity?
You and I both know, realistically, that, yeah, even though we might want a 14, 15, 16-year-old to be, in bed by a reasonable time so they can get up for school the next day, we both know that that's not the case. The kids are out there in Port Macquarie at that time of night. Isn't it better for them to have a safe, lit place to go?
Yes, I agree with that.
Yeah.
I totally agree. But don't you think at dark, whether they're in bed or not, don't you think they should be home at dark?
Oh, look, in an ideal scenario, yes. But look, at the same time, I'm not completely convinced that that's right. Let's talk about school holidays. You might have 16 through to 19-year-old. I mean, isn't it all right for them to be out at 8:30 with their mates doing a bit of skating?
Well, yeah, I guess so.
It depends on the age we're talking about, I suppose. Like, I agree with you. If 13 or 14-year-old, I'd like to see them, at home and in the safety of their family. But at the same time, we've got to be realistic. There are kids out there in Port Macquarie, and they're the word is loitering. They're loitering in the dark, and it's dangerous. It's unsafe. And Christine was saying the skate park isn't the right place. That's all well and good, but for years, we haven't had any lit place here in Port Macquarie, and there needs to be one.
Maybe that's what I'm actually making my comments on, that it's a place for younger kids, not adults.
Okay.
And I do think that 14, 15, 16-year-old kids should be at home after dark. But I just don't think they should be putting lights in, because it's a huge expense.
Yep.
There's the cost of running them. And then I do think it's going to create a problem down the track somewhere.
Okay.
And I just don't think that lights should be on a skate park.
Fair enough.
It's a thing to be doing in daylight hours, not for the rate post to have to pay the bill.
Fair enough. All right. Well, look, I mean, I might have the public mood wrong here, I've got to say. Maybe I have. I would have thought overwhelming support for these lights, but happy to be corrected. And listen, thank you for calling in. I really appreciate that.
No worries, Tim. Thank you.
You keep listening, buddy.
Will do.
Bye-bye. And you can call us too on 6585 3456.
It's time to talk.
And we are talking about whether or not we should have lights at the skateboard park down there at the town beach in Port Macquarie. I have Tamer from Port Macquarie on the line. G'day, Tamer.
Hi. I have too many things to say. I firstly want to say that you're never too young or too old to skate, and most people that I know that really want to have this happen will be down there, that will actually use the facility for what it is, not for a drinking whatever, being harassed and silly and wild. They're between 15 and 40, and they'll use it for what it is during the day, as the same as at night.
And so what difference would lights make?
Well, I agree with what you're saying. There needs to be somewhere where the youth do hang out. I'm not one for saying that it should be every day. I think that maybe it should be a few nights a week where, as you said, someone comes down there, and it's a great opportunity for people to, as you said, with suicides and things like that, and talk to have someone monitor it. I mean, the police station's just down the road. Like, it's not going to be I don't know, a troublesome place. I feel that it has good things about it.
Yeah, and I wasn't suggesting for a moment it should be supervised as such, but I did see an opportunity there as someone who is in contact with church and youth groups.
Yep.
Not that I'm religious, I'll just put that out there, but I know there are some fantastic church and youth groups out there in Port Macquarie. They would see that as an opportunity to get down there and hopefully, as I said, unobtrusively just be there, and anyone who does want to have a chat and maybe a hot drink, there are great programs down in Sydney. That's where I'm modelling this idea from. They could get in there and do that.
One of the other things was that because my partner was part of the group that got it up and running, the 6 years program with the council, it was actually a federal grant, so it wasn't local council money that got it there.
Is that right?
That is right.
Okay, right. So maybe I was giving credit in the wrong place when I said that council have done a sterling job.
They like to have the credit, I do say myself, but yes, I know many things behind the back burner, so yes. So
just very quickly, the two things that Christine said were real reasons why we shouldn't install lights. Noise pollution, she talked about the residents of the caravan park. Yes,
I have something to say about that. What about, because we actually run our business and we're friends with the people from the caravan park, and they actually endorse skating. They actually put on we used their electricity we had a skate video premiere there with Innovision, and they let us use their site and they let us use their electricity for the youth to come down. They had a big TV down there, and they didn't have any qualms or worries about it. They fully backed it, where the council was approached again and didn't back it. So that's another interesting thing for everyone to know about. What about the Festival of the Sun? No one complains about the noise there, and it's actually got people drinking and being stupid, but, I'm sure the council has a handshake with that, saying, yeah, money for the town.
Yes, absolutely. And Tamer, listen, you sound very bright and intelligent. Thank you very much for calling in.
Thank you.
I appreciate it. That's great that you're listening too. Thanks, Tamer.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Bye.
Tamer. There you go, pressing the wrong buttons. Tamer from Port Macquarie there. And you also can have your say about lights at the town green, at the skateboard park down there, at Town Beach. Give us a call, 6585 3456.